Hey guys, I've been working on writing really hard the last month and a half. I'm really happy with how that's going. I think I want to do a post about it soon, but also working on back into doing some CG stuff. I've got this shot I'm working on, and this is the stage I really like, where you get to just start blocking things in, and you just extrude something. You're like, that'll be a building, and you get to kind of do the broad stroke stuff. I always think that's really fun. This is going to be kind of a sci-fi city with a big cosmic event happening here, and I like the idea that, like, no matter how sci-fi the city or cosmic the event, there's still going to be kids who are like, hey, let's go down the park and look at the cosmic event. Nathan Begdahl's helping me rig these guys and animate them. Obviously, they're not animated now, and can I just say, probably the way in which I am the least fun is a lot of people get a lot of amusement out of unfinished stuff. Like, they'd see this guy just sitting there and they would just laugh so hard. They're like, oh, I'm crying. That person is not properly animated. And I'm just like, yeah, that's what unfinished stuff look. Not everything can be finished all the time, which I think is a chip I have on my shoulder from doing client work for years, just where you send somebody a thing and you go, here, I'm working on like the physics for like this one thing, and they look at the render and they're like, whoa, what's that gray human in the background? You go, oh, that's a placeholder. That's just for a scale. Don't worry about it. And they're like, but why is he there? And you go, it's just for scale. It's just for me. Just ignore it. It's about the. And like, yeah, but is he going to be there in the final shot? Like, yes. I thought we'd have a nice, good, sensible shot with a random gray human in the background. I thought that's the thing you would like. But when working on a shot like this, it can be a little bit intimidating because, like, there's a lot to fill in here. I haven't even really got started with, the cosmic event, but the thing I like to do with that is just break it down. Like, right here, I want there to be this kind of, like, lighthouse out here, a weird sci-fi type lighthouse situation, and so I'm just going to focus on making the best lighthouse I can, and then I'll stick it into the scene, and then I'll just have... I like having areas of focus, and so then as they crest the hill here, I like that this shot is kind of a series of reveals, like cresting the hill and look up and you're like, ooh, it'll be like a big flying boat, and then you get to check out the horizon, then you only notice that things are happening here, and we just gradually kind of pan over to reveal what's going on. And so having actual things over the course of this for people to check out, like I'll work on this store real good, this ship will get a lot of love on it, and then the next one will be here, and probably this building. I don't know, just kind of knowing the things you're signing yourself up for, like that'll be projects as time goes on. The environment is just a regular environment map. It's an HDRI from HDRI Haven that I mirrored in a paint program and offset just a little bit, and I used a clone brush to just change some of the reflections so it wasn't too obvious, but it's just flipped, and it was really easy to block this in because it's all based around this one curve right here. So, like, I've got the bikes and the camera and everything all on here, so yeah, I could just dial it in and tweak the animation real quick. Eventually I'll apply this and actually start building up the geometry properly, but this was nice. Like, if I wanted to add another biker here, I could just add well, first you want to make sure that you are snapped to the same origin as the curve so that things aren't offset weird. So with the curve selected, I hit Shift S, cursor to selected, and yeah, there we go. So now if I add a cube right there and I apply a follow path constraint, I just have to select that path here, and look at that, path's going along with the kids. Maybe follow curve. Woohoo! And I can offset, change the offset so either the cube is far behind or it's up ahead, and if I want, I could add keyframes to make it go from side to side like this, which is just a really easy way of initially blocking in the whole thing and getting a sense of how I wanted it. Originally, I was using this camera that was also parented to the curve, but I ended up adding a freehand animation just because I didn't want it to have to follow the path so specifically, and I'm using a few curves from the Camera Shakeify add-on that Nathan just finished the second version of. It's got, you can mix and match. I'll be talking more about that later, but I'm liking the additions a lot. This one encapsulates a lot of what I like about lighthouses. It's just usually has a big bold tower area and just like a very dense reflective detailed area up on top, and I think that balance is kind of cool. And I like the skinny bits and these L brackets here used for support. I think I very much want to try to get that balance in the design of the lighthouse. And this is kind of the lighting that we're going to be going for, which is nice because this means we really get to focus on the silhouette, and the actual textures don't matter quite as much. It's just the outside form, which means any little details we add to the outer sides here will be really visible, which is cool. We get a lot of bang for our buck. In fact, I like this. I like the fact that it's kind of two towers right here, and the fact that like the lighthouse could be suspended out off of the cliff a little bit means maybe this is the bit that's mounted, and then it kind of zigzags out, and so the lighthouse proper is, you know, suspended over nothing. I think that could be cool. Just cool texture reference here. I like the cement with just like the metal mounted to it so awkwardly like that, where it almost looks wounded, like it's bleeding. Kind of cool. More just, again, I love this. It's a cylinder with all of this detailed metal work and the rails and stuff sticking off. Really want to get that. And this old look where there's, you know, a very sparse structure, but it's really reinforced by these diagonal braces. I also already assembled this kind of texture sampler in a paint program. It's just a bunch of pictures I've taken and stuff from cgtextures.com and photobash.org all into one image, so I can quickly unwrap and just slap things on there, so I don't have to be assigning a bunch of different materials. It's if my materials don't have to be particularly precise, it's a way I like to work, just because I can really quickly change how things look and experiment. And I've tried to get a good variety of stuff that I think could kind of capture the feeling. I don't particularly have any big plaster or brick textures on here that could be good for the main pillar section, although I'm thinking this might be kind of interesting if I unwrap it a bit. So let's start with, of course, a cylinder, because the whole thing is kind of cylindrical. I'm gonna do 40 here, and let's just start trying to experiment and see if we find some shapes we like. I do like the idea of it, again, it being offset. Maybe I could just like take these and extrude them out like this. Yeah, I think that could actually work. And maybe here I'll just kind of turn it back into a cylinder like that. Now inset, extrude this down. I'm just kind of playing with shapes right now, trying to find that look I liked from the reference. Actually here, yeah, let's inset, let's kind of... Working with cylinders is always kind of interesting because like I would always love for them to blend into each other a little bit more, as if there was a plaster or something kind of cleared over here, but that's hard to do with this geometry right here, actually, and so I always kind of invariably end up not doing that. Let's see, maybe this is like a low-level communications thing, this will be a high-level... Yeah! Okay, and this will be the bit where it kind of like meets the ground level, I think, which means it's maybe kind of small. I should make it so that you can actually walk under here, as if it were actually kind of designed a little bit intelligently. So maybe I'll just grab these, kind of make this like a step. I can add like a railing around here, so somebody could walk down there. I haven't really figured out the scale, which means I should append in a dude. Dude, object, dude. Hey, why's there a dude right there? Is that dude gonna be in the final? Is that... Yeah, sorry. Okay, here, I'll flatten that out. Is this a decent? Yeah, this seems like a good scale. Okay, let's do the fun bit. One of the funnest things about dealing with cylinders is you can just hit like extrude, scale, extrude, extrude, scale, extrude, and make all these little doobly bits, and it just is like, that's cool. Okay, actually, ooh. I think I want it to go up above and below. Here, let's see. I will like have a maybe not like that, but it'll kind of slope in. Then I'll have some sort of lighthouse shape right here. I want some sort of mechanism that goes around and refracts the lights, like a couple mirrors that are orbiting the actual lighthouse instead of like it all being inside the mechanism. And maybe I'll have some tower thing. But then I also want it to like go down below and have another one down below with maybe even like a windmill here that's catching some energy, and maybe we imply that's how the lighthouse is powered. Which means I want more negative space here so that this will look even more bizarre. And maybe we get some of that weird like cross-braced scaffolding going on here. This is turning into a mess, but and I can't undo my annotations. Where are annotations? View, annotations, delete. Okay, good. Well, now if that's where we want to be going, let's bring that down. We'll bring all of this up here, and I guess we have to bring it all out a little bit too. So I'll deselect everything except for the ones that have to intersect here. And unfortunately, I liked the fact that these kind of blended together a little bit, And maybe I could just like grab this edge and bevel. Whoa! Maybe I can grab, except for these corner ones, which seem to be problematic. Can I bevel that a little bit? Ooh, okay. That's kind of interesting. I wish I could do that here. I could perform a Boolean operation and join these up. Otherwise, that would be very difficult. I mean, I suppose I could. What would be the easiest way to do this? I think I'll add an edge loop here. An edge loop here. I'll hide this so I can H, so I can select these. Oh, I don't even know which ones to select now. Okay, we'll go into X-ray mode. Yes, select all of these. And if I just extrude, oh yeah, I'll just extrude. Perfect, and it's just kind of extruding out in there. And so now I will hide this and grab this loop here and Control B, bevel it. And Alt H brings that back, and there we go. That seems kind of organic. That seems interesting. I kind of wish it were even more organic, kind of like just, but I think this will work fine. If I really wanted that, I could always select like all of these ones in the tower here. I don't even know if I'm really grabbing the right vertices, but if I turn on proportional editing, I can try to grab everything and work with it a little bit more organically. But I think this is probably... Yeah, I'll do it just a little bit. Just keep things lively. Okay, so now I can create my weird little hanging down bit. And right now, again, this is all just blocking it in, which means I'm only going to use 14 vertices here because it's just a thin. Whoa! You hit O to turn off proportional editing. I just want a thin little pole here. Again, doing my little like scale. It's made of a few different pieces of pipe connected together. And maybe there's a larger mechanism down here where it'll mount into the actual light. Okay, and looking at this, I think I'm going to raise this back up a little bit more. And let's start working a bit more on this top bit. I like this outer area. Here, let's add a little walkway. We'll make it recessed a little. This will be the actual bit with the light in it. In fact, I might even make it a little smaller so there's room for that mechanism. So this will be here. I'll go up to, about chest height. And now I get to decide what type of, in fact, maybe I'll just inset this, and this will be the inner bit, and I'll do the same thing up on the top here. Now I get to decide what type of like windows I want in this thing. And I like that first image that we were looking at. Oh, I got some sort of weird funky geometry thing going on. Can I just Control Shift recalculate normals? Shift N, recalculate normals. Nope, still weird. Okay, well that's fine. It just got hit by a big bird or something. Yeah, I want to get that kind of triangular window pattern. So let's try adding a icosphere here. And I think that might actually... we can try turning up one more level of subdivisions. That might be too many, but let's see how it looks. I want to kind of flatten a lot of these loops around here and see if they can all just kind of fit. So I will grab... Ooh, you can't just alt-click on these edge loops because it doesn't know which way you want to go. So I've got to do it by hand here. Grab these, Shift, or Scale, Z, 0. So I'll grab all these and hit SZ0. That one's already flat. SC0. SC0. And I'll delete the rest of these ones here. Place this in here a bit. Maybe I'll have it even bigger. This means I have to go in here and scale this up a bit. Alright, so this will be glass. And maybe I'll just Shift D and add a wireframe modifier to it. And this will be the window frame, the LED, whatever stuff that goes in between the window panes. That's kind of cool. And how's this look with this guy here, this guy down here? This thing's big. I like it. Let's bevel this corner just a bit. Again, I just want to keep this whole thing feeling fairly organic when I can. Some of this geometry is a little messy. There are ways to fix that, but I think I will instead just put a sign in front of it, or just, look, you can't even notice. You can't even notice from a distance. I want a bit more detail in this bit, so I'm going to alt-click on this to select this entire loop, and I'm going to deselect these and just hit E to extrude them out like this. And yeah, that works. That works pretty good. Although this curve up is kind of weird, so I might, again, SC0 to straighten those. those out, but that adds a little bit more interest to the shape. Right now it's feeling a little bit whimsical, a little bit kind of Dr. Seussy, which wasn't really what I was going for, but I think having this as the base, but then covering it with very industrial looking like antennas and ladders and things like that might kind of be the balance that makes it kind of fun. But yeah, let's see. I think I want something additional kind of weird up here. Maybe it's just like a final antenna or something. Again, offset, just to keep everything as interesting as possible. And I'll figure out what's going down here later, and we'll figure out some better ways to mount this to maybe a cliff later on too. We'll be doing everything later, obviously. Create a new material. Let's use the base color as an image here. Load in that pre-made sampler. Right there. Open image. And let's slide open our UV editor so we can place what bits go where. Load in the, there we go. Let's see, if I go into material preview here. Whoa, okay. So I'll tab into edit mode, hit A to select everything. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna use Control R to add a few edge loops here. Uh-oh, I can't even, because of the way I extruded, I can't even add an edge loop all the way around here, but I think I kind of want to do that so I can have distinct segments in the tower. So I'm going to go into X-ray mode by hitting this box right here, or hitting Alt-Z, and then hit K to bring up the knife tool, and you can see down below it gives me a lot of different options along the base there. If I hit C, it'll limit the angle, and if I hit Z, it'll also do X-ray, so it'll cut all the way through instead of just the front faces. And if I do this, that just lets me get a few 90-degree angle cuts like that. So now I can easily select entire loops like this. Okay, so if I select everything and hit U, cube projection, this is everything here. I'm gonna just hide all of it in the middle here. And let's see what happens if I just place it right here. Hey, that's nice. That's just random plaster. So I could grab all of this and make it as large as possible so it fits on top of this. It's used as much of this texture as possible, and that's actually pretty cool. Let's do the same thing with this one. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a horizontal face, a face pointing directly upwards, and hit Shift G to select by normal, similar normal, which means now every face that's facing up is selected here, and I could put it somewhere, you know, so it wouldn't be plaster, it'd be something more like this metal, which is a really quick way to work. Although I guess it didn't. You can also go here, up here, select by similar normal, and you can change the threshold so it, you know, it's maybe a little bit more forgiving here. So now we can do that again. U, project from view, I'll just slip it right here. Sometimes that's a good idea, sometimes it isn't, but I like it just for quickly adding variety and making things less totally uniform. Or I'm feeling like this should have some sort of other material on it, like if this is all damaged plaster. In fact, the fact that these are copied bothers me, but we can fix that later. But this should be either matching this or something else. So let's alt-click on this loop here, and let's see. Right now it's kind of at an angle, which I think we can fix by just opening up. I've got the UV squares add-on turned on, and I can just say to grid by shape, and that straightens the whole thing out, so I can ideally just kind of stick this some metal area, and that's fine. The specular, the smooth specular really ruins the effect here, but we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that later. In fact, I'll probably be wanting to use this quite a bit in other areas, like right here and right here. Let's try sticking that somewhere like that. Yeah! These are some nice ways to just kind of start playing with things. What I like is sticking it somewhere like right here. You just get a lot of different variety, and if you do this and then you decide to like just start modeling based off of that texture, you get this this cooperation that works really good, because the texture informs the model, which informs the, you know, additional texturing, and everything feels really natural. There we go. Now we got a bunch of random detail up there. Yeah, this is feeling okay. Ooh, the fact that there's this nice seam here, I think I want to take advantage of that. Like, let's actually have that be where it kind of bulges slightly, as if they paint the top half of it. I don't know. And again, there's this bit right here that goes all the way around. I'm gonna select this, alt-click on this loop, double tap G to slide it, And I'm going to hit Control R to add another loop here, so we can just scale it in. And now the model, again, matches the texture a little bit. And we can do maybe the same thing here, although it's harder because we've got all these other loops. Here, let's delete that one. Scale that out. This is going to make it more Dr. Seussy, isn't it? Actually, that makes it interesting. I always feel I'm too reliant on both squares and cylinders. I mean, they're very common shapes, but anytime I can go through and make something not so obviously a square or a cube or a cylinder, I feel good. Like right here, I want to figure out something to make this shape a little bit more interesting. Maybe I'll just Control R to add an edge loop, Control B to bevel it, but I'm going to scroll all the way down so it's just beveling it once, which gives me a little bit more geometry here, which I can hit E to extrude. I'm going to cancel the extrusion, hit Control Z or GZ to move it up, SC0 to do that usual flatten maneuver, and yeah, there we go. That makes it a little bit more interesting. In fact, maybe this is like a windshield. I like the idea that there's some sort of windshields built in to protect stuff. So yeah, let's see if we can figure out like a windmill turbine type thing. I want it hanging down below, so I'm going to hit Shift S, cursor to selection just to center right there. I'm going to create a cylinder, and here, let's go into the solid view. And how many blades do I want? I think this is actually probably pretty good. I want a lot of veins, and I'm going to scale it out to be an appropriate radius here, and Alt-click on this outer loop. I'm going to hit Alt-E, extrude individual faces, and now each one, this is already kind of like a propeller, you know? I'm going to change the transform orientation to normal, which means now each face is going to be orienting around its own, like if I see each one's using its own axis here, which is going to be really handy. Thank you, Blender Secrets for that trick, which is very handy, especially for propellers here, which means I can scale down on like make all of these square here by scaling them down on the y-axis. Hit Alt-E, extrude again, and yeah, let's make them a little taller here. And can we rotate? I think we can rotate all of them. Ooh. Yeah, so they yeah. You see what we're doing. We're trying to make just sort of some sort of interesting propeller situation. And Alt-E, extrude, yeah. And this is looking pretty good. Right now, they're all rotating on their own axis, so I'm going to change this back to global and median point. So now I can rotate all of them just, like this a little bit, and they'll spiral. If I Control R, add an edge loop all the way through the middle of all these, I can turn them a little bit scoop-shaped, and Control B to bevel that, and there we go. I mean, this ending blunt bit is a little bit intense, maybe. Should I undo? I think I could fix that. Yeah, there we go. If I'm back in normal here, in individual, I can flatten those a bit by just scaling on the x-axis, which I think will be good. And now I can do my little thing with the, here we'll go to global and median. Now I can rotate all of these and Control B to turn them into scoops. And yeah, that feels kind of like a big wind propeller scooper type thing. I think maybe it would work better for water. I don't know, but I've selected the top and the bottom here. I'm gonna hit I to inset and F3 bridge edge loops, and that just connects them all like this. Maybe I'll inset and kind of. Metal's really expensive, and so a lot of times people are trying to work with as little as they can, and so they're trying to use metal in places where it reinforces, like a support brace or something, as opposed to making the entire thing out of metal. And so if I ever have a thing like this where it just looks like there's this big solid ring of metal, it's always kind of a freebie, and it's really quick to inset it and extrude it, and it looks more as if it was manufactured out of, a practical amount of resources. And yeah, so I typically do that. Alt-E, extrude along normals, scale it up. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that looks fine. Here, I'm gonna select all of this and hit P, separate by selection, and so now, right-click, set origin to geometry, so it'll spin around the center of itself. And again, Shift Q. Oh, that is legitimately very nice. I'm gonna give this this trim the same texture as the main object. So Control L, link by materials, And that's already looking pretty good. And I think I'm going to be doing my final render in Cycles, and Cycles and Eevee render glass very differently. And that's because Cycles is an actual path tracer. It's tracing the path of all of these different, branches of light bouncing around. And when it comes to reflections and refraction and transparency, that's a lot more for it to figure out. Whereas Eevee just kind of like, I don't know, Eevee handles it entirely differently. But that means if we're going to have render artifacts, it's going to happen with the glass. And so to avoid that, I think I want to set things up in kind of a clever way. Here, let's hit new. I say clever because I did not come up with it. Let's change this to glass here. Turn the roughness all the way down, and already you can see this is acting pretty wild. And that's because it's effectively rendering the refraction as if it were this one giant solid piece of glass, which is a little bit weird, as opposed to all these different panes. So under the modifiers here, I'm going to add a solidify, which will just make the surface have some depth, which means now it's bouncing through the front panes and the back panes, and it looks the back panes, and it looks a lot more sensible. Right now it's straight glass. I'm going to add in also a transparent shader here, and I'll mix them together. And the thing that's going to decide which one it uses is actually going to be the type of light ray that it's calculating. There's a certain type of ray that's just trying to bounce straight to a light source. That's called a shadow ray. It's trying to see, can this object actually see that light source? And if it does see the light source, we want that to only render transparent, so it's not having to deal with any of this glass stuff. Don't worry about this. I might make it a specific tutorial later. But if we go input light path here, so right now it's 50% glass and 50% transparent, but if I drag is shadow ray from the light path panel here down here, then if it is if it's one of those rays specifically trying to get to a light source, it will only encounter the transparent shader, which means that light's able to get inside here a lot easier. Here, if I bring up a monkey head, you can see light is hitting the monkey as easily as this dude. Whereas if we were just using the glass shader, look at this. None of that light even makes it in. That's ridiculous. Why the glass shader by default is not particularly useful, and this has just been a very useful technique for making this sort of stuff actually work while still being able to maintain, keep some refraction and stuff like that. Cool. And right now the specular map I think is doing more harm than good, so I might just turn the specular down for right now. So I just want to mock in a little kind of cliff face too that we might be actually dealing with. And let's see, maybe we'll add like a little building. We'll just scale that. I'm just trying to get a quick square. Seems like lighthouses always have like an associated little utility building or some building that was built over the years for additional maintenance or supplies or something like that. So here that's kind of a cartoon building. I think it's okay though. Yeah, we'll just do this. I'm going to scale this up. And I've just reached time of night where probably I should not be recording a thing because I start babbling, and I always regret that. So let me just wrap this up real quick, and then we'll take one more quick look. Do any of these look like a roof? I could try doing something like this. Maybe this will read like no. We'll just do that. And same plaster going on right here's for the rest of the building. Although I did like this grill. Let's see. Let's actually kind of put in another little heatsink type option. Am I in X-ray mode? Yeah. So pull this up. 2? Is that too many? Bring this one and the glass all up. 2. And that means I'll take all these new stretched ones here, and I'll assign these here. Let's see. Alt-E, extrude along normal, bring them in a little bit. And U, cylindrical projection, which just unwraps it kind of flat like this. And so now I can put this here on the grill, and let's see, how does that... Okay, that's stretched. So if I scale it out so that it isn't stretched, now we're going off of it. So I might just take like half of these here and hit SX -1 to mirror it, and I'm just going to line it up over itself again. In fact, let's grab these two here and expand the selection and just do the same thing. We're basically just folding it back over on top of itself over and over, and ideally we can line it up so it doesn't look too weird. Yeah, that's okay. And we can, let's see, maybe we'll grab this loop here, alt click on it, scale it up here. If I think I can make it narrower in a second. So I'll just extrude this. Actually, ooh, let's do a checker deselect here. select, check, or deselect, and we can change how often they're selected here. So I might just get something like that. Yeah, Alt-E, extrude along normal. Alt-E, extrude along normal, but scale down on each individual origin here. It's not the most interesting design, but it's not bad either. In fact, maybe we can do the same thing kind of here. Check or deselect, Alt-E, extrude faces along normal, and if nothing else, it can just kind of be some more interesting stuff going on here. In fact, I'll just deselect all of the outer vertices here, if I can see them. Here, we'll go to bottom view. Yeah. Looks like I didn't pick a perfectly divisible number, but that's okay. Oh no, I meant to actually select the outer ones. Ha! Oh, well. It'll just be even weirder. Maybe we can use this for holding like a railing. Yeah, that'll be good. Shift D, duplicate, scale it down a little bit here. And this will just kind of be a rail that goes around. And then I guess we could do the exact same thing we just kind of did of select, check, or deselect. If we go to individual normals, I wonder what the normals are here. If I can just Alt-E extrude and then scale on, because that's always a hard one. If you just want to make all of these like square and not as long. Oh, that's so good. I never used along individual normals, but that is actually really, really useful. All right, we'll do this. Let's change back to median here. It's always so nice when you can be affecting multiple points at once and like have it actually all work out. Like right here, I just want to get back to those top faces. So instead of going back and reselecting all of them, I can hit Control negative, and just knowing enough tricks like that so that you don't have to always just be dealing with selecting and deselecting stuff, I think it is very handy. This is maybe not enough vertical supports to really be a full railing, but maybe we'll put some sort of mesh in there, and that'll help. Control negative. Extrude, 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 extrude. And we'll grab this loop again. This will be the, oh, it's still on normals. Global. Cool. That's kind of nice. That looks pretty cool. Let's see, we'll add another mesh layer here. Shift D, scale. I'm gonna make like an outer thing and then like kind of a mesh, a grate type area that we'll deal with texture-wise. Then extrude another top level here. Use cylinder projection, just stick it anywhere. It doesn't have to be all that interesting. Okay, now let's do the exact same thing we did here by mirroring this over on itself. And how's that? We'll probably need to do that again. It's a long, thin area. -1 here, and so that way, ideally, we can... Let's see how this looks. No, it's still too wide. We gotta stretch it out even more. -1. Feels like folding a paper airplane. This is maybe not the best technique, but... Actually, I think that'll work okay. Okay, actually what I'm going to do, this is going to be the overall Lighthouse texture. I'm going to make a variant of that is a little bit see-through. Huh. Actually, I'm fine with that caution bar there. This will be transparent Lighthouse assigned to that. And, oh, did I not copy it? Here we'll use... overall transparent Lighthouse, and then make a copy based off of that. Okay, and this will be transparent Lighthouse. I think I still have the copy of the old one in there, but I just will try not to accidentally use that one. So for this one, I'm going to use a transparent shader in here. Actually, I'm going to try doing it with the principled BSDF. Just color into alpha, and it probably won't be visible until we go down here and say blend mode alpha blend. But now, is it kind of doing a thing? Hey, that is. Okay, that's cool. So we just have to tweak the brightness of the values going into the alpha here. Basically, black is transparent, white is totally visible. If we put a color amp in here and just pull white down so it kicks in a little easier, and black, so, you know, black's a bit blacker. Yeah, that's nice. It's still a little bit stretched in a way I'm not thrilled about here. Guess I could try folding it over yet again. Probably just means this wasn't the best texture source to have used here, but yeah, that looks nice in here. Let's grab this top loop and bottom loop. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, kind of falling out of love with this little wheel down here. I also think from a distance we won't even be able to read that it's supposed to be like a weather vane or like windmill type thing. It'll just look like a very weighty cylinder. So I might get rid of that for now. And actually, okay, let's keep going. I want to have some really, you know, dense mechanical type situation of L-beams and things mounted around here with like some sort of external refraction lens or like mirrors to really direct the light. And I think we can do that fairly quickly. Let's try doing just 10 vertices. This might not be enough. And actually, here, I'm just going to make them do the snap cursor thing right there so it's all just already centered. Yeah, we'll see how big 10 is. Yeah, that seems okay. So let's set up a rail work first, and then we'll well, let's see. Double tap I. This will be our framing. So it'll be kind of something like this, just slowly spinning. And I think that'll actually work pretty good. Let's see. I want to rotate it. I wish I knew how many degrees it needed to be. We're at 18, maybe just 18. All right, that seems pretty square. Go into local view here, and gonna go back into solid mode. And let's see if we can just make this look kind of detailed without having, you know, to go absolutely nuts. I'm not gonna worry too much about modeling with depth because it'll just, maybe I'll add a solidify modifier on it at the end and it'll just kind of read as a bunch of L-beams again. Let's see, so I want to create a quick structure that'll hold the mirror here, and let's see, we'll just kind of model a quick hinge type element. Again, this is kind of overindulgent because we're not even going to see these details, but maybe I'll render out a close-up or something like that. I accidentally just grabbed the top bit, and I thought it would go all the way down, but I think I can probably just use that to like add some extra detail. I try to take advantage of that when I can, as kind of a reminder of like, you don't have to do everything in the most obvious way possible. Add some random variety in there. So now we can grab these guys, duplicate it upside down, sure. Cool, and let's make some cool kind of mirror panels maybe. We go to the top view. I want this to be the hinge, so I'll make it so the object just rotates around that point. We want it to kind of look like maybe it can fold in on itself, so I'm going to select these 2 points and hit Control-Shift-B to bevel them, and I'll scroll down, so yeah, that way maybe it kind of like looks as if it's making space so that multiple things can fold in kind of like that, you know, without just a typical barn door type setup. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but or not thinking it enough. Yeah, we'll do this, inset. This will be the mirror bit, so we'll give this the typical Lighthouse texture, and then this will be a mirror texture, which I think I can just, I'll make it metallic, turn down the roughness, and assign, and hopefully that'll do some kind of mirror, decent mirror looking stuff. Extrude that down. And more of those hinge things. You just need kind of little things going on between the big panels. That's where you get that contrast is what can give you some visual interest. Uh-oh, yeah, I'm definitely tired. I'm like, I wanna keep working, but at some point my brain reaches a point where the videos are just babbling nonsense. It drives me crazy. Okay, and overall Lighthouse, let's see, let's put this somewhere nice and rusty here. I don't even really care about the texture here. I just want to get those values. And how does that look? That's fine. Here we'll select everything. We'll select the inverse of the mirror here. Scale it down. Cool. Let's see how that looks. Well, this obviously needs to go up, and I guess we can grab this bit. Now that we're seeing it in context with the railing and all that, having air on the side of being a little bit too high up is a good idea. All right. Well then here, let me parent these to this, and what's the best way to do this? I guess I could, here, let's shrink it down a little bit too. I like all this glass and mirror going on. That's pretty nifty. I could just rotate this 180 degrees and scale it down and parent it to the original. Cool. What's that look like rendered? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I think especially if you have a nice light source in there. In fact, let's add one right now. Light. Do I still have a monkey? It's always weird. You can see the lamp size in the reflection. Let's try 55. If you ever want to get rid of that, you can just uncheck multiple importance. I don't actually understand what that's doing, but I do appreciate that you can do it. Because seeing this reflection orb is always kind of silly. See, it's the light. You only see it when you're looking through glass. But yeah, this is interesting. And then this will just rotate and make things. I guess they look kind of ridiculous when they're sticking out that far. I could just, let's see, grab these bits here, scale it, and move them in. Yeah, that looks a little better. That looks kind of interesting. In fact, I'll put some of these on the top and bottom too. I don't know. I'm reaching a point where I'm kind of doing all of these greebles stuff, and I should probably actually think through the design a little bit better. But that's okay. I really do only think we'll see it like this. Here, yeah, we'll make this light a little bit warmer, and let's see if we can actually make a kind of interesting lens type shape inside of here. I don't even think we need to be all that particular about it, because it's going to be inside so many other layers of things, ideally. So we've got another cylinder here. I'm going to hit U, cylindrical projection. I'm just going to put somewhere that looks like it could be like a, yeah, this could work here. Kind of like a lens, because lighthouses have those really cool refraction lenses. I'm sure they have a really cool name. There's probably a ridiculous, oh, look at this, Shift Q, that's great. That error means I haven't created material yet, which will just be more, well, this will be a new one. This will be emissive lighthouse. It's going to use the exact same texture, but this one will be going into an emission shader. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Actually, yeah, let's turn this into an emission shader and have, instead of color, have that go into the strength, so it'll still be kind of black and white. Does that make sense? Converter, color ramp first. Let's make it so there's no black here. There's probably more sensible ways to do this. Right now, I guess I'm just using the texture to segment it into lines, but that's still kind of interesting. Converter math, so I'm going to multiply it so that white is no longer worth 1, which means the emissive property could, the emissive material could only have a maximum brightness of 1. I'm going to change it to like multiply by 15. Yeah, now it's nice and bright. And if I use controller to add an edge loop here, yeah, that looks kind of like a lighthouse. Yeah, it's interesting. Might make this like a little bit warm. It's a little bit too green. Cool. And I'll finish this in the morning because I'm starting to babble, and that always drives me crazy. Okay, it's a new day. I'm hopefully more cognizant. Let's dive back in. So one of the things I love is looking at this picture. You got the big solid bold shapes, but around the sides of the silhouette, there's just all of these really, really fine details. And I know that I tend to ignore those fine details. I kind of work in like big bold shapes and then finer shapes, but I rarely get to the small shapes, and that's because usually you don't even see them. They're too small. But in the cases of something like this where it's a silhouette, you will absolutely see them, and I think it actually adds, I think it packs a lot of punch for its size. So let's try to do that. I think this is a lightning rod type thing, and so it gives it a path to get all the way down. Let's do that. So I want to kind of have a mount, and then with a rod mounted in the bracket, but because it's going to be really small, I don't really have to worry too much about the detailing or the texturing. So I get to kind of just have fun with it. Here, let's see. These will be the bracket bits all extrude out. This will be the main rod. I can just alt-click on these and Alt-E extrude along normals. Yeah, there we go. And now if I grab all of these edges here and use Control-B to bevel them, yeah. So that will be the mount. This will be the the rod is actually supporting. Here, maybe I'll grab these and kind of try to... Yeah, that works good. And again, right here, just anything that plays with the silhouette a little bit is gonna work good. And the bit that'll actually hold the wire as it goes down will be right here. Cool. And the reason I put the origin right here at the base is so that I can hit snap to face and make sure that align rotation to target is enabled, and that means I can just stick it anywhere, and it'll automatically align to the face as long as I kind of have it somewhere reasonable. I could even have it kind of spiral down here. Of course, lining up the wire onto this might be a little interesting, but that's just, sometimes you just sign yourself up to do an extra process. And here, this will be, we'll just assume it has a way to get down. Yeah, maybe that's a bit much, but I kind of like it. Here, we'll put this all the way up here. And since I was hitting Alt-D to duplicate these, they're all instances of the exact same object now. Ooh, they're still trying to snap. But that means I can, here, let's link, Control-L, link the materials. And if I open up a UV editor, I can just slip it somewhere innocuous. Whoa! Let's see, let's hit cube projection here and just stick it in this rusty area. I like that. Actually, here, we'll make the base a different color. Oh, yeah, it totally comes through. Actually, here, we'll just... It's kind of interesting, I guess. Doesn't matter too much. Okay, and yeah, let's see if we can do the wire with a skin modifier, which means we can just have a single row of vertices connecting all of these. So I'm going to delete these vertices here. And I'm going to line this up. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? I might be able to do it by snapping two faces here. Like if I just line this up right there. Yeah, okay. So I'll extrude again down to here, to there. Extruding to here. Oh, this goes really fast. Here, I'll turn off snapping, and I will hit Control-R to add a point here, bring it down, and then I'll hold down Control-Shift-B to bevel that specific point. And there we go. Now we got kind of a nice parabola going. Here, we'll do the same thing right here. It's just nice and quick way to add a little bit of curve to these guys. Well, and with that done, let's go into modifiers here and go to skin. And we can select all of these and hit Control-A to change the width. So I'm just going to drag this down so it's pretty small. And here, let's bevel these, smooth them out, and yeah, we'll just do it to all of them. I think having a little curve in these adds a lot of realism. Cool. So make a new material, and I'm just going to make it dark. This will just be wire. Maybe turn down the specular just a little bit, but that's kind of a nice trick here. Let's actually add another row to the top using a lot of techniques we've already done. I'm going to use my checker deselect thing here, and we'll just turn up the gaps, extrude up. Let's go into individual origins and normal, so we can shrink these down like this. Let's extrude it and scale it again, so it's just nice and thin. Again, I really want those micro silhouette details going on. Scale them up. Yeah, so now ideally I can just grab this ring here, and I was going to do a wire modifier on this, but I think I don't even really have to. Is that... Yeah, that about works. I'll just extrude it like that, and they'll still get the same type of effect from a distance. I agree, this wire is maybe a bit much, actually, but we already made it, and I don't feel like deleting it. Yeah, I'll just keep it nice and faint like that, so it's there, but it isn't doing all that much. Okay, let's figure out this bit at the top. I wish I'd figured out what caused this notch bit right here, but that's okay. Grab this, and we'll grab this, and I guess we could also grab that. Go to the side here. Use cylinder projection. Where'd it go? It's way up here at the top. It's kind of wild. Let's just try to put it somewhere kind of interesting here. Maybe I'll use all of this junk again. I guess that's maybe a little dense, isn't it? Ooh, that vent's kind of interesting. Okay, we'll use this, but then we'll just change this part. And this cylinder part, this is mirroring, which is actually kind of weird considering this is supposed to be cylindrically unwrapped. Let's try it again. U cylinder projection. It's all the way up here again. Huh. Well, I don't exactly know why that's mirrored. I do know I can just stick this somewhere where it ideally won't matter too much, or I could also, you know, duplicate some of this stuff and just break up that pattern a tad. Here, let's unwrap that and stick it somewhere, like, yeah. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Let's make a pulley rigging system that could be hung right here. And I'm just gonna try to do it really quick. Kind of mock in the shape first. Yeah, and then bevel all of these corners. Control R to add an edge loop here and extrude those in. And let's see, we can inset these. Yeah, cursor to selected. Let's add a little cylinder going through. This will be kind of the first pivot. Be another down there, and I think that'll just be enough. Here, we'll link the materials here. Cube projection. I'm gonna make it kind of rusty. I want this whole pulley system to be kind of just a neutral sort of rust. Ooh, if we get that bit going, it's kind of, yeah, that'll work fine from a distance. We'll model it all as one piece. In fact, I want kind of a bracket type thing too that maybe it's mounted to, so we'll add a cube here. Bevel this. If you ever want to see more selection options, I made a whole tutorial just talking about how to quickly select things that you might find sort of interesting. I want to have like a ring right here, so I'm just going to right-click this, subdivide it, and hit Shift-Alt-S, which will turn it into a ring. And so now I can inset it and just delete the middle bit and extrude this down. It's just easier than making like a cylinder and having to do all that stuff and line everything up. If I can ever just use geometry that's already hanging around, I love doing that. Cube projection. Cool. All right, so this will be down here, and we'll just have one more. Oh, we already did that. Maybe here we'll just have another kind of ring right here, and we'll see what happens. For the cables, I think I'm going to use a curve. I could use a skin modifier, but I don't know. I just feel slightly more familiar with this. We can extrude this down. Scale these. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work pretty good. Move this like that. We can scale these down. Let's see. Same thing here, which means we'll just rotate these to kind of match. Yeah, this'll work. This'll work okay. Shrink this, and because we're using a curve thing, all of the width of all the wire will be exactly the same, which I think will be fine. We just do that. Ooh. Let's grab all of these bits and just bring them in a little bit. Actually, I guess the best way would be to not have these go in quite so far. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, that's good. That's a good pulley system, and we'll just give that same wire material as over here. And let's see, if I hit F3, convert to mesh. Normally you can't join these because one's a curve object and one's a mesh object, but since I just converted it, I can grab all of these and hit Control J to join them, and that makes it a little bit easier to just, you know, grab and place around. I guess those pulleys are a little bit intense, but that's okay. Here, let's actually, we have this one here. I really do want these to be kind of small details. Here, we'll shift duplicate here so that I can also have one that's very short. Yeah, we'll just try to get a lot of bang for our buck here. Yeah, that looks good. And while we're here, which is the main one here? Yeah, that controls everything. I'm gonna hit I, rotation, and I'm gonna go later and rotate it just a little more here. And just hit Shift E, linear extrapolation, so now it'll always rotate forever. I probably should add a few more details on here. I really want it to feel like kind of a bulky focusing mechanism, but this will be fine, and it adds a little life to it, which I like. Here we can rotate this like a couple degrees this way, rotation, and then how many? Yeah, maybe we'll do one swing every like second. This might be a little slow, but it'll be easy to change it. And I'm going to duplicate this first keyframe so it'll loop really well. Select all of these and hit Shift-E, make cyclic. So now it'll just kind of swing forever here. Yeah, that actually feels okay. It might be a little bit much, or maybe I'll even slow it down just a tad. Yeah, that's fine. I just like adding those little details while you're just, in it. What else could we do here? Let's add a little door type area here just for getting in. I want an overhang. Extrude out. We'll have an extra little kind of flap thing here. We'll inset this. Extrude. Cool. We'll grab these guys here. Extrude them in. Ooh, I like that that's a random little... Ooh, this is a little short, isn't it? Maybe we'll just do this. There we go, now it's tall enough. And we'll inset this just one more bit to kind of be a door. And... do I have anything here that kind of looks door-ish? Let's just hit U, project from view, or maybe cube projection, and try sticking it somewhere like this. Because we're not really even going to get a close view of it. Yeah, that looks... Ooh, that's kind of an interesting door. This lower bit here is a little not good. Let's just re-unwrap it and stick it like... Yeah, that's fine. Oh, this stuff's all nasty. Here, we'll go to the top, and let's actually rotate like this so we can unwrap. It always unwraps vertically, so I kind of align it so that the cylinder is arranged so that if you unwrap it like that, it'll work. So if I go cylinder projection, ooh, that's not working great. Let's go to UV squares, to grid by shape, and now we can line this up with something in here, and it'll all... Here, let's stick it like right here. You just see how that... Hey, that's kind of cool. In fact, up here, well, let's echo that bit right there, and just shrink that down. Now what I got to do is this extra bit. We'll do the same thing. Cylinder projection to grid by shape. Ooh, that one's funky, isn't it? Maybe this is already good. We'll just stick it somewhere kind of... No, I don't know how to clean that up. We'll just cube project it and stick it somewhere boring. Yeah, it's nice. I think the last thing I'd want to do is just add a couple modules that we could stick around, and I'm going to do those just real quick also. Kind of a cube thing. Here, we'll add a couple edge loops. Control B to bevel them. Alt E to extrude them out. Just going to add these nice little lips here. I'm going to duplicate these faces, scale them out, and extrude them back. And so now it just kind of looks like it's a mounted box. Actually, maybe we'll bevel these corners a bit to smooth them out. I don't want these to be... I want to use these a few times. So I'm going to try to keep them nice and subtle. But if I link this material here and hit U cube projection and stick it somewhere kind of neutral, I think we'll have a good time. Yeah. Cool. And ooh, let's rotate it so that we can place it with the snap too. So this will be the base, and we want it aimed up, so it'll be aimed away from the actual surface. And let's duplicate this, and I'm gonna make it taller and make these bands shorter. Let's see, individual origins. Yeah, that'll be fine. As long as I put that somewhere else kind of interesting, I think it won't read as the same object. Yeah, that's pretty good. Shrink them down, and as long as I'm, snapping to face, let's see if this just works. Hey, it does, okay. Rotation, I guess, is a little weird, but I can clean that up later if I want. Just rotate it with RZZ to rotate it on its local Z-axis. Boop. And okay, let's see how this looks. I might turn this into something a little bit more interesting here. In fact, let's do just more of that grill type stuff. And we'll add kind of a nice vent cap here on top, as if it's some sort of heat dispersion situation. I kind of just want to reuse this bit. Stick that down there. Cool. Probably should retexture this stuff. Cube projection, and somewhere a little interesting. Seeing this repeated so much is a little bit frustrating, and I'm wondering if I can fix that without messing up everything. Let's see. Cylinder projection. Yeah, that works okay. It's maybe a little bit stretched vertically. Yeah, okay, that feels a lot better. Now we don't have that obvious duplication. I don't mind stuff like this because again, it just breaks it up. It makes it slightly more visually interesting. Yeah, let's. I'm gonna make this all a group here. I'm gonna select that and just hit Control G. Funky Lighthouse. I'm gonna load it into the other scene and set it up. So it's very small. I realized I forgot to make that little bit that was going to be hanging down. It's going to have kind of a lighthouse on top and the bottom, but I think I might just add a counterweight or something there. I don't know. I think I like it as just kind of a singular lighthouse, by which I mean I don't feel like making this video any longer. But it was so small that I also went and I added it in the foreground here, which I think will render nice, especially in cycles. Which is nice. You can see there isn't a single detail we put in here that isn't visible in the render. Especially the ones we did for the silhouette are really helpful. And it's now 2 a.m. again. I went through and I added some little lights and antennas and pigeons from asset packs I've uploaded to the Patreon in the past. And I swapped in a few different HDRIs, which always makes it tricky because I like all of these, and I've only want to upload one though. And I sent them to different people, and every single person had a different favorite, so I ended up just kind of going with my favorite, which was this, maybe the most monochromatic and boring, but it felt the most atmospheric, and I really liked it. I ended up putting the windmill thing back here down at the bottom. That kind of balanced it out a little bit. Yeah, I dig it. Maybe I'll upload this to the Patreon. I don't know. People wanted it, but yeah, I hope there was something useful in here for you. I'll get this uploaded real quick, and you have a good one. I'm gonna go get some sleep.